Ones that was talking that trash are the same ones circling wagons. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh. Yeah. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh. Ones that was talking that trash are the same ones circling wagons. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh. Yeah. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh. Ones that was talking that trash are the same ones circling wagons. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh. Yeah. Got me feeling like I'm
James Cook and the Buffalo Bills pound the Panthers 40-9 to go 5-2 in the season. We are going to recap this entire game. Let's go.
To my friend Nate and all the listeners of this podcast, no one circles the wagons than Nate Escape. Circle the wagons, Buffalo.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Hey, let's go Buffalo. Hey, let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
What is up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to another episode of Circling the Wagons, a Buffalo fan base podcast. I am your host, Nate, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This is an opportunity for everyone to get in today to talk about the Buffalo Bills 40-9 win over the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Get in here. It's just me tonight. John and Mike both couldn't make it, both traveling, both got things going on, both got lives. You know, maybe they're not right at the microphone every time I record around 8:30. So this is going to be all in for you guys. I'm going to have the comments box open if you guys are on Twitter, if you guys are on X or whatever, Facebook, YouTube. Going to get you guys in. We're going to go over stats of the game. We're going to go over Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame, Sweet Sassy Molassy plays of the game. So make sure that you get in on all of those items tonight. So first things first, Buffalo Bills, fresh off the bye week, get in and win, a huge victory over a team that was pretty good going into the season. Won 4 straight, 4-3 Carolina Panthers in Carolina, as I mentioned. A lot of videos, a lot of pictures showing a lot of Bills Mafia. Some people saying even 70% of the stadium was Bills Mafia. I don't know, but I'm not surprised. If you are from Buffalo or Western New York in general, you probably know at least a handful of people that have moved down to North Carolina. So pretty cool there. Just what you would expect. 40-9. The offense looked really good in some respects. I mean, elite in some respects. I'm curious, though, to see what you guys think of the win, because if you scroll social media, you'll see some things like, it was great, but, I enjoy the win today, but do you have any buts, or are you just happy with the win? Because there's a lot to like about this game, but then there's also a few things that, we're going to touch on, things that we didn't love, but weren't awful. Maybe some things that weren't great, but mostly a good game. I mean, how do you win with your starters sitting for most of the fourth quarter and be upset about that, right? So some people are upset about the ways that you win. I'm going to go into both. I'm obviously leaning more towards not caring, but at the same time, you kind of got to raise an eyebrow to some of the reasons that we're not winning. reasons why we're winning and reasons why we're not. Chad Labrie, our guy Chad, is in already. He says, "What's up? Great game today. It was a great game. It was a great get right game, I should say, before the Chiefs game next week." Absolutely. This was what they needed. The Bills are, I believe, 9-0 now after the bye week under Sean McDermott. So this was good to see, especially as a Bills fan, if you're watching the two games before that. The New England Patriots loss was tough to take, and then the Falcons loss was even worse. And especially the way that game went today with the Falcons losing. So you're looking at this Bills team, and you're like, who are you? Are you good? Are you a phony? Or are you a fraud? Are you legitimately gonna win? And we'll see what happens next week. The Chiefs game is obviously much bigger than this game, but it was good to see them just dominate this game from front to back, offensively and defensively. Defensively today, they got back free agent additions in Michael Hoecht and Larry Ogunjobi, however you pronounce it. Michael Hoecht made tremendous plays today, showing up. We have Maxwell Hairston that was in the game. He had some good reps. It looked like the Bills' defensive line in general looked great. They did a great job of stopping the Panthers' run game. They did a great job getting sacks, turnovers. We found out later on in the press conference, Matt Perino asked Sean McDermott, "Did you call the game or not?" Because some folks on X and Twitter were saying, "Hey, I wonder, this feels like a Sean McDermott sort of game." Maybe because they know coverages that I don't, or maybe just because the defense looked dominant today, and they really did. They shut the Panthers down in several different areas, so that was good to see. I was a little worried going into it, seeing Andy Dalton. I'm like, man, I've seen Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, all these older quarterbacks. Man, Andy Dalton could ball out against the Bills today, and he didn't. He didn't look good at all. So thank you to Andy Dalton for that. Maybe that was the last way of him, appreciating all the donations that we made to his and his wife's foundation. We're going to real quick. So I see that John Robert is already in on Facebook. James Cook ran 19 times for 216 yards today. James Cook was the best player on the field today, on both sides of the field. He just looks so good. He looks so good. And credit not only to James Cook, but the Bills' offensive line. I mean, how many times did James Cook have a free run up to the second level? I want to say it was on most of those 19 rushes, where he didn't hit a linebacker until 5 or 6 yards in, or a defensive back, or in that one long 64-yard touchdown, he didn't hit anyone. He just ran straight free. I love James Cook. I mentioned a few weeks giving myself the wall of shame for even thinking that he might not be worth the money that he's getting paid now. He is absolutely worth every penny and more. He's probably underpaid in some way, shape, or form, because if you look at it, I mean, Josh isn't playing great. He's not playing bad, but he's not playing up to his level. And we're going to get into that, obviously. A lot of things to talk about. And even Chad Labrie just came right in. The only but I would have is I would like to have seen a bit more production from Josh Allen. I agree, Chad. There was at one point, I think it was in the first quarter, that Josh had made one completion past the line of scrimmage. I believe it was in the first quarter. So it's like, that's not great. That's not great. A lot of them were at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. So there's things to talk about there, but let's focus on the positive for now. James Cook, tremendous game for the Buffalo Bills starting running back. If there was MVP odds for just the team, James Cook would absolutely be the MVP of this team right now, especially with the way that Josh is playing, which isn't bad, but isn't great right now. A lot of credit you have to give to the offensive line. If you had to guess off the top of your head how many sacks the Bills' offensive line is, what would you guess? 3, 4, 5 sacks today by the Bills' defensive line? No, they had 7 sacks today. They had 7 sacks. That is so unlike the Buffalo Bills defensive line, where we're just asking for pressure. We're just asking to find a way for pressure. It kind of reminds me of the Bills wide receiver separation problem, right? So with the Bills pass rush, we're just like, there's no pass rush. Like, what can we do? We just lost Daquan Jones. Ed Oliver missed most of the game with a bicep injury. We don't know when he's going to come back, by the way, but he missed most of the game with a bicep injury. The Bills always had issues, at least recently had issues getting pressure. I mean, the last few seasons, it felt like ever since Von Miller's first season before he got injured, it felt like we've been talking about where's this pressure going to come from? Where are we going to get some pressure? The Bills found a way to manufacture pressure. They got 7 sacks today. And that's something that the Bills have been struggling with. So when you look at the offensive side of the ball, when you think about the Bills offense, the Bills not being able to get separation from their wide receivers, is it the players themselves? Like we thought it was for the defensive line? Is it the players themselves? Or is it the way that certain coordinators are scheming and calling plays? When Sean McDermott took over the Bills defense, they looked tremendous. 7 sacks, 3 turnovers for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that's unheard of. that's what a stat line, right? That was that team right there. If that defense played that same way against any team in the playoffs, they win. They win. Now, are you going to play against Andy Dalton every week? Of course not. Of course not. But if that team put up most of that effort against a Patrick Mahomes led team, they go on to the Super Bowl last season if they play that way. So I like Bobby Babich. This is his first time as a defensive coordinator calling the plays. I want a little bit more Sean McDermott influence. And I could see as a head coach, I could see why it'd be tough because you want to give it over to him. I'm sure Bobby Babich has been waiting for this. I'm sure he doesn't want anyone to hold his hand and walk him through it, especially this being his second season. I get that. But there comes a time where the head coach has to step in and force his hand a little bit. So Sean McDermott's in that tough role of, do I come out and just take it right from him? Do I just go into his ear and say, maybe you should do this a little bit more? Or, do I just keep hands off completely? I think it's a combination of both. I think he should be helping out and telling him what he should be doing in certain areas, but then letting him roll with it until he needs help, right? I think we all like that at our jobs or whatnot. Like, hey, man, if you have, again, like this is like, think about your job. Like if you're in an office or you're on a construction site or whatever, like you don't let the new guys do everything, right? Like, I mean, you tell them what to do, but you don't let them do the entire project or the entire construction project all by themselves. You give them help when they need it. So that's what they kind of need to do. And if this is the result every time, I'm fine with it. I mean, we all remember, was it 2 seasons ago when Sean McDermott was the play caller for the defense? I thought the defense looked great. I thought it looked aggressive. That was one of the best defenses that the Bills have had, honestly, in Sean McDermott's career as a Buffalo Bills head coach. So let's go over stats of the game. I see we got some comments in. John Robert agrees with me. He says not the wide receivers, the scheme. He also says Josh needs to pass more accurately. Absolutely. Let's get into that in a few minutes, John, because I love that you said that. Josh Allen today, stats of the game, 12 for 19, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He did take 2 sacks today for 24 yards. So, not a great game by Josh Allen. Was it an efficient game by Josh Allen? Absolutely. Absolutely. He did what he needed to do to have this team just walk away with it. I mean, he did also have 2 rushing touchdowns. So statistically, not a bad game by Josh Allen. This is more of an efficient game by Josh Allen than an overwhelmingly great game by Josh Allen. James Cook, the man of the hour, the MVP of the team so far into this season, 19 carries, 216 yards, 11.4 yards per carry. Just think about that, 11.4 yards per carry. 1st and 10, give him the ball. First down. 2nd and 10, or another 1st and 10, give him the ball. First down. It's just, and so on and so forth. Just an incredible game for James Cook. And what's funny is last year, one of the reasons why I was somewhat opposed, I won't say I was deathly against, but I was somewhat opposed to James Cook getting the contract. was that you saw Ty Johnson and Ray Davis when they got the ball. Like, they looked pretty good running the ball behind this offensive line. I'm like, oh, it's not James Cook making this team look good. It's the offensive line. And it still is the offensive line, but I think it's a combination of both. Because when Ray Davis gets the ball, he's running at 1.8 yards per carry. When Ty Johnson gets the ball, he's running at 1.5 yards per carry. So by that standard alone, James Cook is running 8 to 10 times better than both of the other running backs, which is just crazy. It's just so James Cook is, I mean, we're going to talk Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame later, but absolutely. And what John Roberts just mentioned, accuracy by Josh Allen. Josh Allen hasn't looked accurate a ton this season. There have been spots where he looked great. I'm thinking about that dot to Joshua Palmer last week, and then Joshua Palmer got injured, and he's been out ever since then. There's been a few the Baltimore Ravens game. Think about the Baltimore Ravens game. That was classic Josh Allen. He looked great in that game. Didn't have to look good against the Jets. Looked okay against the Dolphins. This is a team where I want to say it's you don't want to criticize Josh Allen, and you want to say it's definitely more Joe Brady, which I think it is. But I mean, Josh came out of that bye as if not a lot had changed. A lot of screen passes. I mean, those were dialed up by Joe Brady. John Robert here mentions again, the RBs, running backs need to get more involved in the pass game. Absolutely. I agree with that. They still haven't done that. We're going to talk receptions. There was only one Bills running back that had a reception today, and that was Ray Davis. Or he had a target. That was Ray Davis for one target for 0 receptions for 0 yards. So the Bills need to get the running backs definitely involved more. The Bills need to get more ways to get receivers open. Because no matter what, I don't think that the Bills are going to get anyone crazy by the trade deadline, which I believe is November 5th. I don't think they get anyone before that. I hope they do. I don't think they do. I think they roll with the players that they have, and I think that Joe Brady tries to make different ways to get these guys open. He tries. Let's hope he does. This was a revenge game against the Carolina Panthers, and Joe Brady dialed up. If you want to take credit away from Joe Brady for the pass game, you have to give him a ton of credit for the run game. I mean, he's dialing up these run plays, right? He's playing to the strengths of that offensive line and James Cook. And John mentioned earlier, Reggie Gilliam. I mean, he's doing a great job. Jackson Hawes looked like a great blocker out there. He always has. That's the reason they drafted him. Now let's go to the receiving side of the ball. Khalil Shakir, leading receiver for the Buffalo Bills, 6 receptions on 7 targets for 88 yards and 1 touchdown. Had that long 54-yard touchdown play. Just incredible. Again, that was more yards after catch, right? John mentioned that. Nice yak for Shakir. Yeah, I mean, the way that they're doing it is yards after catch, because Josh isn't throwing a lot of 10-plus yard throws. I believe he had maybe 3 today, I want to say. No, I don't know if the stats came out from Next Gen Stats. Maybe 2, I can't remember. But yeah, that was what? It was yak. Chad LeBreeze came in and says it was definitely good to see Shakir leading the wide receiver core with yards and a touchdown today. Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about getting more players, trading for so-and-so. You got to get Khalil Shakir involved more in the passing game. He's that good, and he needs to be the focal point of that passing game. Sure, should you still throw like 4 or 5 receptions to Coleman, Kincaid? Absolutely. I think it should be either between Shakir and Kincaid each week. Those are your 2 best targets, best playmakers, either catching the ball or running with the ball or both. Keon Coleman was the next leading receiver, 3 receptions on 4 targets for 30 yards. Dalton Kincaid, 1 reception on 3 targets for 23 yards. That 1 reception was huge, though. 3rd and 10. Josh Allen threw a dart at him, got that catch. Great play by Dalton Kincaid. Jackson Hawes, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 15 yards. If you've been following us on social media at all, you know that every time Jackson Hawes gets a reception, the Bills win the game. So this starts this continues the streak. There now 5-0 every time that Jackson Hawes gets a target or a reception because he catches almost all of them. Let's see. And then there was Dawson Knox, 1 reception on 1 target for 15 yards. Elijah Moore was 1 reception on 4 targets for 14 yards. John mentions again, I think Elijah Moore needs to get involved more also. Yeah, I'm definitely for that. We need some speed. There's Elijah Moore is a speed guy. So is Samuel. It's just he hasn't been involved much since he got here. So we'll see. On the defensive side of the ball, I mentioned we had 7 sacks. AJ Epinesa had a sack today. He also had that interception. He looked great today. One of his best days as Buffalo Bill. I feel like you can count on AJ Epinesa to have like 3 or 4 like game-wrecking games, which is pretty good considering how much they're paying him and how much he just showed up. It's funny. I tweeted out, is he the best defensive end on the Bills roster right now? And then, of course, after that, Joey Bosa gets a sack. Michael Hoecht gets a sack and a half. Like, it's just like that. It paled in comparison to whatever those guys did for what AJ Epinesa did. AJ Epinesa had that sack I mentioned just now. Ed Oliver had a sack. Greg Rousseau had a sack. Michael Hoecht had 1.5 sacks today. Jordan Phillips even had a sack. Deion Walker getting in for a half sack. Just a great effort by the Buffalo Bills. Michael Hoecht had a forced fumble too. I mentioned 1.5 sacks. He also had a forced fumble. Greg Rousseau had a forced fumble. Defensive line came to play. We talk about everyone eating for the Bills receivers. The Bills defensive line, everyone was eating too. Matt Prater, 2 for 2 in field goals, missed that 1 extra point. So not a great game, but still, extra point compared to missing a field goal. I'd take that any day of the week. Yeah. And the Bills had Shakir, Samuel, Ty Johnson, Keon Coleman returning kickoffs and punts. That's weird. It's just, I don't like seeing those guys there. And then I believe it was Shakir took that big hit on a return. I can't remember off the top of my head. Someone did, and I didn't like that because those are some starting receivers you got on your side of the ball. So Andy Dalton on the Carolina Panthers side of the ball, 16 for 24, 175 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dowdle had 8 attempts for 54 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. Hubbard had 12 attempts for 34 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. Leading receiver for the Carolina Panthers was, what's his name? Tetaroa McMillan. 7 receptions on 10 targets for 99 yards. I'm just going to go into, by the way, if you guys have a wall of fame or wall of shame to go into, please make sure you get it in here now. But I'm just going to give a quick wall of shame. This isn't even my actual wall of shame, but this is an honorable mention, is the Bills' pass defense. Even Christian Benford, it's funny, people were saying how good the media members from, the Bills beat were saying, Christian Benford came to play. He looks better than he ever has before as a Buffalo Bill. He looks incredible. This is going to be his best season ever. He's looked not so great this season. The Bills' pass game, the Bills' coverage game in general hasn't looked great. And I'm thinking it's because he was going against Bills receivers. So it's a little bit easier to look amazing. He struggled, though. I'd say the first, 7 games now? For 7 games. It hasn't looked great. So, you got Christian Benford, Tre'Davious White. Now you're down to Jordan Poyer as your starting safety, along with Cole Bishop. Bills secondary is taking some hits for sure. It didn't matter today because the Bills got up so much that the defensive line could just pin their ear back and just rush Andy Dalton like crazy. So that was great. But I'm curious to see how that's going to go next week against the Chiefs. Can they maintain that? Can they still look as good? And by the way, Sean McDermott, if there's ever a game that you need to still call, it's next week against the Chiefs. So do not give up those play calling duties to Bobby Babbage. And if you do give them up, wait until the first time the Bills get down by a score or less, and then take those play calling duties away right away. So let's go into Sweet Sassy Molassy plays of the game.
Sweet Sassy Molassy, get out the checkbook and pay Grandma for the rubdown.
All right, Sweet Sassy Molassy plays the game. There are a lot of great plays today, but I'm going to go with, for my Sweet Sassy Molassy play of the game, the Epinesa interception on the screen pass by Dalton was right there, called it well. They got down to, he intercepted it, went down to the Panthers 1 yard line, and then Allen just tush pushed it in for the touchdown. Again, that's nice to see the tush push. I mean, I'm not saying it's the greatest play ever, but it's effective. I mean, you saw him today. I mean, Josh was in every time they did it. It wasn't even close. It was very effective last season, except when they played against the Chiefs. And that's more of on Joe Brady for not putting a wrinkle in it or continuing to call the most obvious play ever. You got to have a wrinkle in it. Maybe do a fake tush push every once in a while just to have the defense ready for that. Not sure what's going to happen, right? Or maybe like, a little screen pass out to Jackson Hawes. He lines up like he's going to block, and then he just goes out wide for a catch, right? Something like that. The Bills can throw some wrinkles in there for sure. There's also some great plays, some honorable mentions. I'll say there's a great strip sack by Greg Rousseau. And the fumble recovery was by Christian Benford. Our guy John just brought that up in the chat section. That was a really good one. Obviously, the Cook 64-yard touchdown was incredible. Once he hits that hole, man, I mean, he's gone. I say that every time. Every time I see space between at least 5 or 7 yards between him and the next closest defender, and they're like, parallel on the field, right? Like they're both at the 25-yard line, they're both at the 40-yard line. Like he's gone. They're not catching him, which I love seeing. So Cook, amazing game. Let's see. Shakir had that amazing 54-yard touchdown I mentioned earlier. Let's see. Ed Oliver had a huge sack before he got injured on the first Panthers possession of the game that caused a 3-and-out. Huge sack on third down. He was completely unblocked, by the way, which is also good to see him get that sack. But whatever, we'll get what we can take. Hoecht had that great fumble that he caused where Deion Walker recovered it. Sack fumble. He actually got it. So from the replay, you had to look at it. He got it with his left hand that actually was closest, but he swatted at it with his right hand, right? Because that's the one that they usually swat at, the free hand, but that one wasn't free. So he still found a way to get his left hand in. But it was great to see him play. I'm glad we have this guy for 3 years. I thought they used him in a lot of great different ways that maybe they didn't have a chance. I mean, he's an X factor, right? He's you don't know where he's going to line up, and you don't know exactly when he's going to come out, and he's a disruptor. And if that's his role going forward, obviously he's not going to get 1.5 sacks each game and a forced fumble. But if that's his role, I mean, the Bills' defense looks different. And it did today. Again, though, if you've listened to this podcast or you follow social media, nobody really blames the defense, I don't think, for really where they were prior to this week. When they were 4-2, they'd lost against the Falcons. They lost against the Patriots. Nobody was like, the defense is what's... I mean, everyone thought the defense wasn't great. But I don't think anyone was specifically blaming the defense. Like, the defense is the way it is. Maybe they were. I have friends that were saying that, but to me, it was clearly the offense, and the offense made up for it today, at least on the ground. Now, let's go into Wall of Fame for this victory.
Wow.
Who do you guys have on your Wall of Fame in this victory? I'll check out the comments if you have some good ones. I mean, clearly, by himself, standing almost completely alone in like it's almost like he's standing on a stage. The spotlight's clearly on him, and the rest of the team is off to the side. You can't even see them because of how good this player played, and that's James Cook. I mentioned, again, 11.4 yards per carry. I mean, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. If you go to stats of the game, a few more stats. That was James Cook's best game. Set a career high, 216 yards rushing, The most rushing yards by a Bill since November 25th, 1976, when O.J. Simpson logged 273 yards. So this is the best game by a running back in almost 50 years exactly. Almost 50 years. He became the first Bill to surpass 200 yards since 2009 when Fred Jackson had 212 yards in week 17, versus the Colts. So 2009. So that was a record that's been there for 16 years, almost 16 years. And James Cook probably could have had a lot more, but they sat him down. I'm glad they sat him down. I'm glad they didn't go for the O.J. Simpson record, as much as that would have been fun. It's still, give him some rest, man. Give him some rest. So Wall of Fame, honorable mentions, I got to give to Michael Hoecht. John Roberts just came in. I'm going to give him credit. He put it in just before I said it, so it's not like I'm reading off his. He came in here. John Roberts says Michael Hoecht. I agree with that one. I love that honorable mention. I just talked about him, so I'm not going to go into it too much more. I'm going to give an honorable mention to the defense in general. I mentioned the pass defense struggled a little bit. That's not new, but at the same time, they still did limit Andy Dalton to only 174 yards when they knew they had to pass the ball. So I'm really curious to see how they do next week against a real quarterback that's, a top, 2 or 3 quarterback in the NFL versus a grizzled vet. So we'll see how that goes. Any other honorable mentions that you guys have? I mentioned Epinesa earlier. I thought Rousseau had a good game. The Bills' defensive line getting all those sacks. Don't have a lot more to say about that. Bills' offensive line deserves an honorable mention for sure. Creating those holes for James Cook to run right through. Loved it. Well, let's go into, so we have those for Wall of Fame. Let's go into Wall of Shame and see who you guys have on there.
Shame. 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 Shame.
So, Wall of Shame, I'm going to share some of the tweets that happened earlier after I talk about mine, let's see. Wall of Shame, injuries. I'm just going to go straight to injuries. That was my biggest Wall of Shame in this one. When you're only starting defensive tackles right now because of injuries to the defensive tackle are Larry Ogunjobi, who just got off suspension. Thank God he's there. But when you have him and Deion Walker as your only 2 defensive tackles on this roster that are active on the 53-man roster, you only have those guys, and we're losing Ed Oliver for, I saw Banged Up Bills saying that Matt Milano's injury took roughly 4 months, I want to say, to get back from injury to starting. Remember that last season? Milano had the injury in August, and he didn't come back until December. So that's almost 4 months. Then if Ed Oliver has a similar injury to that extent, we're at the end of October. We're not getting him back for the Super Bowl. We got to hope that it's somewhat, if there is a Super Bowl, we're not getting him back by then. So we have to hope that in some way, shape, or form, Ed Oliver's injury isn't that serious. But again, Wall of Shame to just injuries. Injuries in general to this defense specifically, but Ed Oliver's injury sucks. It was a big one. It's a bad one. This is an honorable mention. I mentioned the Bills' pass D. One of the big ways that the Bills' pass defense struggled today was they relied on Andy Dalton having inaccurate throws on 3rd down to really force a punt by the Panthers. That was the way that they were doing it. Inaccurate passes by Andy Dalton. 3rd and 10. Andy Dalton throws it 2 yards away from the receiver. The receiver was open. He was covered, but not well. And they needed Andy Dalton to not throw that ball really well, and he didn't. So that's really what helped the Bills defense. Again, it didn't matter today, but against Patrick Mahomes, that's a first down 95% of the time compared to Andy Dalton. So, yeah. So we'll see where we go from there. So those are my big wall of shames on that one. If you go over to Twitter, I'm going to refresh this real quick. And we got Big Mike in. Big Mike says this should have been the only result after 2 losses and a bye week. They should expect nothing less from themselves. Play of the game was the tie between the Russo forced fumble and Shakir's long touchdown reception. Wall of Fame, the defensive unit stepped up as a whole for sure. Wall of Shame, Prater for the missed PAT. Yeah, I mean, if that was funny. It was, yeah. If that was a closer game, I'd be more upset. I'm not that upset, but I did take note of that. Private Joker 2003. Well, let's go into like hot takes, because if you guys have any hot takes to this game, to how you feel, how do you feel for where we're at with the Buffalo Bills? Do you feel confident going into the Chiefs game from what you've seen today, or does it not matter at all? Because I could see both. I could see why this game was a great stepping stone to get to the Chiefs game, get some confidence. You just came off the bye. You beat a team that was good, that was 4-2, that was looking really good. They had one of the best run defenses the last 3 weeks, and the Bills ran for 216 yards with one running back on them and 4 touchdowns. I mean, how are you upset about that? Now, knowing Steve Spagnuolo, knowing the Chiefs defense, they'll be ready to stop the run. So now, can the Bills find a way to still have a run game, and can they find a way to get Josh Allen going? I mean, they'll find a way to take away whatever all of these other defenses have been doing in the past game. Spagnuolo will find a way to do it, and he'll get a little bit more pressure on Josh. So that'll be interesting to see. Private Joker 2003 says we might have just seen the debut of the ice curtain. Things look a lot better with our D lineman active. Hope Ed is all right. Yeah. Same here. The ice curtain. I like that one. I don't know if you came up with that, Private Joker. That is a good nickname. It's a good nickname, the ice curtain. It reminds me of what is it? The frozen ice wall. Is it called the ice curtain in the Game of Thrones? The frozen wall, the wall, the watch. I can't remember. It's been a few years since I saw that one. Bill Lasso is in. He says Bills need to be schemed differently on offense. We keep running these curl plays for 2 to 3 yards, but they suck because standing targets are easily defended. Yes. Yep. Agreed. They got to find a way to get the receivers open more. I mean, I always look at these things. It's like, what's more likely, right? What's more likely in this scenario? Is it more likely that all the Bills wide receivers are covered all the time? Or is it more likely that the opposing defenses, defensive backs, are prepared for that route because they've been studying it and it's predictable? To me, I say the latter. Maybe you disagree. At Saxa Dave, I wish I was in Buffalo, says defensive reinforcements are just what the doctor ordered. Playing like they trust each other and actually making tackles. Run game looked great. Passing game, not so much. Next week is the real test. Go Bills. I like what he says there. The Bills could win next week, by 3 points or 1 score or 2 scores against the Chiefs, and I don't care anymore about the pass game. All of a sudden, my issues and everything, I mean, we're in a week-to-week league, right? They just go away. I'm not worried about that. So, yes, you get a win against the Chiefs, and I don't care. The really bad golfer says, I know it doesn't really matter in the end, but that was the least sexy 40-9 stomping ever. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. The really bad golfer. Excellent point. I agree. I was in the kitchen doing some stuff, not really paying attention to everything going on because I'm like, oh, the Bills got this in the bag. So it was good. It was good to have a stress-free Sunday for once. But it wasn't. Besides that James Cook touchdown, the Shakir touchdown, it was pretty good. I don't know. It's why is it the least sexy though? I don't disagree, but they played well running the ball. They played well on defense. There were sacks, turnovers. Why wasn't it sexy? Is that because we expect Josh Allen to really just lead this team and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Because I'll tell you what, it makes me remember the times when Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator, Josh Allen was throwing for 300 yards, and then the Bills' offense still sucked, right? Like it was just they didn't look good. They looked awful. So it's tough. Can you have it both ways? Does it matter if you get it both ways? I guess that's a question we have to ask as Bills fans. Charlie B says, James Cook, that's all I can say. AJ Tharp says, I send my official apology letter to James Cook. He is an elite running back, and we see the difference when you're on the field. Number 2, I'm officially at drought vibes where I'm getting more excited when the defense is on the field than the offense. Those are excellent tweet. Those are, first off, I've definitely given my apology to James Cook. So I'm with you, AJ. And drought vibes, yeah, I kind of get that feeling. It definitely feels like a different team right now, but we're winning, whereas in the drought we weren't. So I should be happy about that. I think I know what it is. Okay, the least sexy 40-9 win. I think it would be fine if you didn't see Josh Allen, the quarterback, the guy who's going to lead you to victory when the run game isn't going well. It's tough to see him struggle, not just in finding guys open, not just in taking sacks, in some protection for the offensive line. It's tough to see him miss receivers too that seem to be open, but he's throwing them in the wrong way, in the wrong direction. It's tough to see it because you don't know if this is a 1 week issue, a 3 week issue, a 5 week issue. Is there something wrong with his confidence? Is he hiding an injury? This is why this feels this way. So when AJ Tharp says getting drought vibes, it's because we're not relying on Josh Allen to win this entire game for us, or at least to be, he's, what was he, 12 for 19, 164 yards, because he wasn't even an efficient game, like 15 for 18, 250 yards, right? Like he just looked off. He has looked off for a while. He had some good plays, but just not the Josh we're used to seeing. So I think when AJ says drought vibes, I think that's why, because we didn't rely on the quarterback at all. And it's not that we didn't need him to because everything was going well. We didn't need to, but also, I mean, I don't know if we could have, depending on how good the Panthers played against us. The Bills are down. I'm not 100% sure Josh brings us back. I think there's a good chance he does, but unlike past seasons, last season, I'm not 100% sure. Let me know what you guys think about that too. John Roberts says, Josh now has the record for most games with at least 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown. He is now ahead of Cam. That's a great stat. Thank you for bringing that, John. He is officially the leader of that, which is really cool to see. If you told me, 15 years ago or whenever Cam Newton came on the scene was when he was drafted, the Bills wanted him. They didn't get him. I wanted him. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, and the Bills struggled until Josh Allen came. I would have absolutely have taken Cam Newton. So to get a quarterback that's statistically, in specific ways, better than Cam Newton, I mean, I find it hard to really get upset. But again, not so sexy. Chad Labrie, our guy Chad Labrie says, planets aligned. Offense and defense came out on fire. Cook was cooking the Panthers defense. Shakir had a game. Happy Victory Monday. Go Bills. Love that one. Richard W. Griswold is in. He says, first dominant showing by the Bills defensive line this season made Dalton look 137 years old. Great to see Epinesa have a good game. God help us if Cook gets injured. Oh man, why did you tweet that? Why did I even speak that into the Earth's atmosphere in some way, shape, or form? But yeah, Richard's right. I mentioned Cook being alone on the stage. He is the one holding up. He's Atlas holding up the world, right? Holding up this Bills team. If Adam Zingis is listening to this, he is the cartoonist for the Buffalo News. If he's listening to this, dude, you could do that cartoon. I will not accept any royalties or anything for that. It's all yours. It's all yours. Take it. Take one of my memes, whatever. Take one of our memes. I don't care. Do whatever you have, man. He does great work over there. Jason Statham says to win the Super Bowl, let James Cook have 1,000 carries this season. I love it. That's the way to win. I say defense wins Super Bowls, right? So if you want to stop James Cook, I mean, it wasn't just a coincidence. I mean, James Cook is good. The Bills' offensive line is really good at making blocks to open up holes for James Cook. And unless a team stops them, again, Panthers were one of the best this last 3 or 4 weeks against the run. I mean, they were incredible recently, up until today. So maybe if they can't do it, no one can do it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Adam A. Last one here. Adam A says, much needed decisive win. Outstanding front four work. Other than Shakir and Kincaid, need another target. DBs get better fast. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, luckily, our corners are finally healthy, at least for minus Dorian Strong. I'm hoping that he gets back within this. I don't know. He's on IR. I mean, before the end of the season, I would love to have Dorian Strong come back and really complete that whole cornerback depth chart. On the safety side, I don't know if Taylor Rapp going on IR is the worst thing from a perspective of maybe the Bills' pass defense might look a little bit better with Poyer in there. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. I mean, they look good today. We'll see what they look like next week. I mean, Xavier Worthy, you're talking about speed. Xavier Worthy is going to buzz right by Cole Bishop and Jordan Poyer next week. That is something that's definitely going to happen. So they're going to have to prepare for that. Maybe Jordan Hancock. He got some reps today. Maybe he also saved a touchdown, by the way. Great tackle by Jordan Hancock. The Bills, backup slot cornerback and also backup nickel cornerback and also backup safety. Maybe he gets some reps in there too. Again, I talked about this on the podcast, the audio only podcast, just a few days ago. What's wrong with the Buffalo Bills? I mentioned the Bills keep seeming to sign and draft the same kinds of players in generality. I mean, Jordan Hancock's not a ball hawk. He's not a center field safety, at least yet this early in his career. He's never been used at that. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what this Bills team can do. But let me know what you guys think. Email us, tweet at us, DM us. Let us know what you guys think going into the Bills Chiefs game this next week. Are you confident in it? Are you worried about it? Do you think this is the chance that the Bills can take? I'll be honest. First thoughts. Just getting into it, being 1-0 this week and thinking about the Chiefs game. I'm not going to be upset if they lose. I'm not expecting them to win next week. As long as they don't get blown out, I'm okay with it because the Bills have some wrinkles to iron out. Plus, whenever they beat the Chiefs in the regular season, they always lose in the postseason. So maybe this is the time to mail it in. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys all for coming in. Thanks to John, Chad, Joey, all the people that tweeted in, messaged in, gave us your thoughts on the Bills game, what you thought about this win. I'm really excited to see where this team can go. I feel slightly more confident in it now that they've proven that they can look good, against a team that, looked halfway decent. The Bills had only beaten like one team with a winning record before that. So I'm glad to see that. Let's see. Oh, wait, I got a few comments in from Facebook. I'm going to share this one. Let's share some Facebook comments real quick. I normally don't do that, but I want to give a shout out to all the Facebook group out there. We have I don't know if it's 20,000 followers on Facebook. So appreciate you all following. I'm going to read some of those real quick. Let's see. Grace says they finally let James Cook run. That passing game equals doom, says Palmer Lott. David Wilson, 40-9, but very concerned about these wide receivers. The wide receivers in the passing game, I'm worried about it too. We'll see where we go from here. I'm really excited to do. Private Joker says he's proud of that one. Wait, Private Joker, are you proud of that tweet that you had? That was a good tweet. Are you proud of the Bills' victory? Either or, we're there. thank you guys all for listening. Appreciate you guys being a part of that. Big Mike just came in. Says, sorry, coming in late. Hoecht made plays. Epinesa had a huge play. Rousseau made plays, but Oliver getting banged up sucks. Yes. I'm interested to see if they put him on IR. The Bills, the trade deadline coming up. I just mentioned wide receiver. Probably not a wide receiver, but do they look at a defensive tackle now? Maybe there's a lot of things that are on the list for me if the Bills attempt to pursue a trade. To me, it goes, you do whatever you can. If this is the season where the AFC is kind of off between Lamar Jackson being injured, Joe Burrow being injured, all these other things happening, make a trade for it. Do whatever you have to take. If it takes 2 first-round picks, normally I'm against that, but this might be the season to do that. If you have to find a way to stop Patrick Mahomes, and I think this next week they're going to look at how do the Bills play against the Chiefs, what is really the issue on offense or defense that they need to trade for. I think they make a play. I don't think it's a big one. I think it's an Amari Cooper-like trade if they do, but add defensive tackle, add safety to that mix, potentially linebacker, because now you're starting Dorian Williams and Shaq Thompson. By the way, Shaq Thompson deserves a Wall of Fame honorable mention too. He looked great. He's looked great this entire season. Love the way he plays. It was a revenge game for him, but I still think he looked great. And so geez, almost all the defense besides corner at this moment, just because Max Hairston is healthy. So safety, linebacker, defensive tackle. On the offense, obviously wide receiver, but that's about it on the Bills offense. So we'll put it there. So thank you guys all for listening. Thank you guys for all being a part of this. So for me, Nate, go Bills, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Circling the Wagons podcast. Download and subscribe to us in your favorite podcast service. Email us at ctwpod@gmail.com. That's Charlie Tango Whiskey Pod@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at CTWPod. And most importantly, go Bills!
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, Nate.
Well, listen, the whole show is called Circling the Wagons. Say no more. I love it.